Hello, viewers and podcast listeners. I'm happy to have you all back here at Xraised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. Today, I'm beyond thrilled because we're welcoming back someone who's familiar. We know her, we admire her, and if legal innovation had a rock star, she'd already be on her world tour. She's a
How
barrister.
embarrassing.
Yes, she's a barrister, an academic, a legal thought leader, and the co-founder and CEO of one of the most talked about AI platforms in law today, MiAI Law. With over 20 years of legal experience, she's not only argued the toughest cases, but has also authored landmark legal publications, taught the next generation of lawyers, and now she's building a research AI that thinks like a barrister like her, but works at machine speed. This episode kicks off part two of our new series, The Practice Reimagined from Courtroom to Code, with none other than Laina Chan. Hi, Laina.
Hi,
Welcome back.
guys.
Always a
People
pleasure.
might think that I people might think I write these introductions for you, but I do not.
I know. Guys, she's been telling me don't introduce me anymore. But no, you deserve more than that, Dana. And it's always a pleasure to have you here. I actually wanted to start this off with going back to one of the many things we kind of passed through during our first few conversations, your mission to serve community legal centers and small firms, aside from the ones that out there in the market already. That's something most legal tech companies lead with, I guess. Why was that such a core part of the vision from the very beginning?
Well, maybe because I'm a sole practitioner myself. Barristers are sole practitioners,
Yeah.
and we have to be. I mean, that's just we are servants of all yet of none. So we can't work in partnership with anybody. And so I know about the issues that surround having under-resourced teams and how important it is to be able to help people who can't afford the best legal representation. They might have a good case, but they don't have the best legal representation. And then the deep-pocketed defendant can come in
Mhm.
and crush them simply because they're better resourced and they can overwhelm the other side with the law, with the evidence, with everything, and win the case that way by starving out the plaintiff. I
Mhm.
didn't like that.
Yes.
It's just not fair, is it? I don't think it's
Yeah,
fair.
I know.
I don't think it should be that just because you have a deeper pocket that you can win, that
Hmm.
you can win just from being able to play every tactic in your toolkit.
Hmm. I understand. Well, you didn't just bring AI to law, Lena. You've been bringing your heart into this. And that's not just social impact, that's actually noble and strategic compassion. Well, who says tech can carry a conscience? In this case, you've been very passionate about this and you've been helping a lot of people. And so, moving on, what's something you've heard from lawyers in rural or maybe regional areas that city based firms just don't say? What's their reality when it comes to tech, research, or even client expectations?
Well, they certainly, I don't think they would have access to the hard copy law library, and they wouldn't have access generally to legal research platforms. And I think I've even heard, last year I was speaking at a regional women's conference. I don't know if sometimes they even have access to stable internet, and they definitely don't have access to uh, lawyers. It's hard to recruit in regional areas of
Yeah.
well, New South Wales. I was speaking at the New South Wales Regional Women's Conference, but so in the context of New South Wales, I don't see why it'd be any different. But it's hard to recruit and get lawyers willing to go and work in these regional or
Hmm.
remote areas.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. But it's just sad that even that those problems that I can't even think of sometimes. But in 2025, we're talking AI powered law, and some firms still can't load a case file, say, because of, say, spotty Wi-Fi. That really
Yeah,
puts the
but I
digital
think
divide into perspective.
the one thing that the government did do, and I don't know how whether they managed to get it everywhere, is we had the National Broadband Initiative, the NBN company, and their initiative was to bring broadband to all of Australia. I don't know how much coverage they
Nationwide.
have, but it's because they have been able to roll that out that it will make my AI accessible to many people. But I know I have a house in not regional, but up north in far north Queensland, and the internet is quite slow. It's not broadband. It is NBN, but it's quite slow. It's not the same speeds that you get in the city.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope it pushes through. And I mean, with that nationwide initiative by your government and my AI addressing that gap might be one of its most important wins yet. And, not just leveling the legal field, but patching the literal signal.
Well,
So,
it's true because I've had meetings before with when we were interviewing, we were assessing all these adjudicators for,
mhm,
I can't remember what I was one of the adjudicators. I was one of the assessors, and
mhm,
one of the uh, uh, candidates that we were interviewing, he had really bad internet. He was in not rural, but maybe rural Queensland, and his internet was so bad it kept dropping in and out. And so, obviously, with people with such bad internet service, it's going to be harder for them. Well, it's going to
mhm,
be hard for them to be able to run my AI. So, I think the first thing that what the government, I think, I think they've pretty much finished their NBN rollout, but
mhm,
that initiative they had was the fundamental
mhm.
core of what we need to be able to increase access to justice for everyone in Australia. Because without that, how can you even access the research tools?
Right. And that leads me to my next question, Lena. How does my AI scale down? I mean, most platforms aim for more, for more in general, faster, bigger, but how do you tailor your AI so it still performs without diluting the quality of the research output for smaller practices?
I don't think the issue is smaller practices. We've got two research modes. We've got the light mode and the deep mode. So if you want a quick answer and you don't want a deep research report, you can activate the light mode. And
Mm-hmm.
you can do this whether you're a small firm, a big firm, a barrister, anyone, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to tell you how I did it, but I made it a subset of my deep research algorithms because for me it was very important that I preserve the accuracy even if I wasn't getting the model to go into it as much depth as it would for a deep research report. And it's worked. It still returns the same core cases, but it just doesn't go in as deep.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like a
that's
one-page answer. It's a one-page answer compared to a several-page report.
Mm-hmm. I see. Well, my AI's light version is anything like its full power suit. And I'm guessing it's, less cutting corners and more surgical precision.
It's not cutting any corners, but it's just a
Mhm.
light answer. It'll give you the correct answer. It will still give you the source material. It's still hyperlinked to the pinpoint reference. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that it'll give you one case instead of five.
Yeah. Well, it's just good to know even the scale down tools don't cut down on integrity in this case. But how about for lawyers working in small teams or sole practitioners juggling high caseloads? What does my AI free them up to do more of?
To actually work on the strategy and to actually work on the preparation of the case. So because we tell you what the answer is, what the law is, and then you use that information to fine tune or to form the strategy for your case
Mm-hmm.
for the client. I mean, the clients always come to you because they want a specific outcome. So
Yeah.
if you're doing a contract for them, you need to make sure that all of their interests are protected and the risk allocation is correct. So you may need to find out it's you know my only works if you actually have some kind of legal knowledge because you have to know what is the right question to ask it.
Yeah.
And it's not, and we're only business to business. We're not selling to consumers. It's a condition of my insurance. So and and my so I have no intention of I would never had any intention. Well, in the beginning, I did think I was going to do consumer law guide
Mm-hmm.
to this, but I'm not doing that. I can't do that anyway because I cannot sell to consumers and maintain my insurance. And it's not right anyway because you need to have lawyers work out. what the right questions to ask and what the right issues to ask are. So when you are doing any piece of work, if you're a good lawyer, you should be clear that whatever it is you're doing to secure the client's interest is actually based on the law and that you're on the right path. So you can use MiAI Law to check on these issues and then come back and do the
Yeah.
work that you're doing for the client.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you're drafting a contract or whether you are preparing pleadings for court or whatever it is you're doing, you should always be doing that from the foundation of knowing that you're on the right path legally.
Mm-hmm.
And my AI will give you that.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. And that's the dream, freeing up lawyers to actually think, not just dig into data, strategy
Well,
time instead
yes,
of.
but think knowing that you are thinking, you're not guessing. It takes the guesswork out.
Mm-hmm. Well, that
Because,
makes it simple. Thank you.
yes. Yeah.
Strategy time instead of statute chasing. You've basically turned it into a research partner, an excellent research partner that doesn't need coffee breaks or billable hours. It's like giving solo practitioners a virtual team that never sleeps. Again, less time on digging through precedents, more time actually
Actually,
preparing your client.
what one of my algorithms that I did for deep research,
Hmm.
that when I was getting it assessed, the assessment was coming back that was basically working like a whole team of lawyers
Yeah.
because it will search the whole database. It will extract the relevant legislation, and then it will chase through the relevant regulations, and it will extract the relevant sections, and it will chase through all the nested definitions, and it will do all this, and it will give you the case law on point, and it's quite scary.
I
It
know.
can do all that.
I can't wait for your launch.
Yeah. So we're
Well,
doing beta testing from 1 July.
mhm. Coming.
Yeah.
So, if every lawyer in Australia had my AI, Lena, what impact would that actually have on access to justice?
I think it will really level the playing field.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It really leveled the playing field, and that everyone will, it's not just the people with the deep pockets. I know I've said this before,
Uh-huh.
not just the deep pockets who will have access to the best, not to the best, to
Well,
representation that is maybe fit.
they walk into court with more confidence and clarity.
Because they have had the time and they've been able to do the research or get Maya to do the research for them to return the right case law and the right statutes for them. And so, I showed a lawyer some of the outputs for the case summarization, and he goes, this would be so good in court. I was just in court last week, and the counsel for the other side named a case that really wasn't even relevant. And then we found out subsequently it had been overturned on appeal. So
Mhm.
if you're in court, and this happens all the time, the other side will mention a case that you haven't come across, you can just quickly run the case through the case summarization and it will highlight all the key issues, the principles in the case, etc. And then you can quickly find out, you determine whether it's relevant to your case. And I've
Mhm.
shown it to a judge as well, and they also, I'd shown through my husband. He showed a friend of his who's a judge some of the case summaries, and it's the same for them because they get thrown cases, names of cases are thrown at them all the time. They don't know what all these
Yeah.
cases, and they can check for themselves as well
Hmm.
whether the cases are relevant and what use they can make of it. And the case summarizations only take a few seconds.
Wow. It's really great. No more surprise cases whispered across the aisle
Well,
like
you'll be
legal football.
surprised. You'll be surprised, but you can quickly overcome that surprise
It's
and
the
then
other
find
way.
out for yourself.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds like you're democratizing legal knowledge in real time, Lena. It's not just access to justice, it's also access to readiness. And
Yes.
I mean, not tech for tech's sake, it's tech for equity, for efficiency, for better lawyering across the board. So, one word or two words, it's great.
No, it's great. I mean, I only wanted this for myself, and then I didn't realize what a huge, well, I didn't know that we would become like this 18 months ago when I started thinking about this.
Yeah, I remember
And
you were
then
like,
now when the results are coming out and I'm looking at them and I'm going, oh my God, I just can't believe it. And every single answer is correct. And I know why that is, but I can't tell you why because it's our secret sauce. But it's just so
off the record.
unbelievable. You know, when every single answer is coming out and every single one is correct, and you're like, oh my God. Of course, it took a lot to get there. And you know, while we were in the process of developing and everything, because I've been trying to work out how to do this for over a year. Well,
So was next time.
since May last year. So 13 months I've been trying to work out how to do it and how to write these algorithms. And then, you know, and even after I think it's correct,
Mm-hmm.
and then you give it, and that takes a lot to get it to the point where I believe it's correct and it's going to work. Then I give it to the developers and they have to translate it to make it work on our system. And of course, it doesn't work the first 10 times or the first 10 iterations. And I keep looking at their code and then we tweak it and then we get the algorithms correct, but then there's other stuff they have to do on the back end, and that's where the chief scientist comes in and he then
Mm-hmm.
tells the developers what they have to do to make the whole thing work. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it takes a long time to get that to happen. And then when it does work, it's just so amazing. And then once it works, every answer is then correct afterwards. The same thing happened with case summarization. It took so long, so many iterations. For me, it was like maybe 12 or 13 versions of the algorithm I had to write. Then I had to give it my developers, and then they did it, and it wasn't working. And you know, and then just when you think, oh my God, this is just never going to work, we're just never going to work. And then finally on the 10th or 11th, you know, as we're working together, it works. And then once it works, every single case summary after that is accurate. It's just unbelievable. And it's
Thank
always before, and it's always like basically the day before I'm going, okay, we might as well give up because it's just never going to work. It's never going to work. It's going to do something funny. It's going to hallucinate. It's going to do something. And
Uh-huh.
then the next day it works. Same with the deep research and the light research we got working very quickly. That we didn't have to do anything. It just worked. But with the deep research, it was not working properly, and then it was hallucinating. It was doing all this stuff, and I thought we might as well give up. It's just never going to work. And then the next day it does.
Uh-huh.
But it's really a mental game. It was like that bushwalk I did on the weekend where I was wondering if I was ever going to be able
It's
to
like you're practicing.
keep having to tweak the code though. So I keep looking at the code and then I go, okay, it's not working because of this and this. And I know the code is done right, but then there's other things we need to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really involved process.
I know. And next time, maybe we can invite those ones who enlisted in your beta
Testing.
lawyers. Uh-huh. And let's
Yeah.
see. Well, what a
Well,
conversation again, Dana. Thank you again for
thank
always
you.
showing up with clarity, brilliance, humor, and a roadmap for a more just future. I hope this episode gave our audience a new appreciation for what real legal transformation looks like and why reaching the margins can actually elevate the center. Let's see.
Oh, what a nice phrase.
Thank you. Well, I got
Thank
it from
you,
you.
Miles.
I got it from you, by the way, with all the things that you've said. I'm just wrapping it up.
You're very good at
Thank
that.
you. Well, that's a wrap for the first half of our new series with Lena. You can learn more at myai.law. Whether you're a city firm or a one-room practice 2 hours away from the nearest courtroom, perhaps, My AI is building with you in mind. So don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and keep us bookmarked in your next to watch. Lena and I will definitely see you again. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with Xraised.